Right, this is Linton the Swarm Vassal, Bellator light heavyweight contender, and you're watching the MMA Crypt Fighting Talk Show.
Gregory Stone, MMA.com. On today's show, we have James McSweeney. Obviously, James has just been released by One Championship. We'll be talking to James about that today. But before we get to all that, welcome to the show, James.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's a pleasure to be on.
So, James, let's talk about that release. You made a Facebook post on the 22nd of May, citing that you've not been too happy with the amount of fights that you've been given by ONE FC. Could you go through your emotions when you made that post, please, on your Facebook account?
Yeah, the post I made, it wasn't nothing personal to ONE FC. I didn't mention their name. I didn't mention anyone in particular. I just expressed my... I've been signed with ONE FC now for 2 years. And a lot of people don't realize is that the first 11 months I signed with them, I didn't get a fight. And we made numerous attempts to make fights happen at different weight classes. I was offered fights at 185 against... it was very difficult. So I was offered fights at heavyweight. We went down different roads, and I accepted every single fight. Holmes Gracie was meant to fight me, and he got injured. I couldn't get that fight. I signed at 93 kilo for light heavyweight, which is my usual weight. They wanted me to fight at 185 once against Melvin Manuf, and that fight didn't happen. So I felt like I really pushed my boundaries in my body to do as many fights as I could, different weight categories for them. After 11 months of no fight, during that time, I pressed them. I had some big fight offers financially. So I offered, they let me take them fights outside of ONE FC. But obviously I got told a little bit on the way that if I don't win, obviously it could jeopardize my contract and so forth. But I won my fight, so it was nevertheless. Then I got offered a fight at heavyweight against Chris Loktev, and I won that fight. Then 3 months later, I believe I fought Cristiano Cominci, and I won that fight in the first round. And then after that, I fought Roger Gracie. And then after that fight, for 7 months, still no fight. So for 2 years, I really, on paper, it's only 3 fights in 2 years. And, you know, as a fighter, that's a hard thing, mentally, physically, and financially. So I felt frustration, and I see other people out there fighting on these shows, and I know the things that they do and the pedigree that they are, and they're getting all this media attention, and it's like, these are just kids. These are first time. Some of these kids have only even fought 5 times. And they're getting put on main events. They don't make weight. They put on crap performances. There's a ton of them, and I feel that with my fights from last year, I was in knockout of the year, first and second place with my wins. I fought different weight categories. I was prepared to do all of the above. I did all social media that I could for the company. I reposted and did everything I could. I flew out to the show in Kuala Lumpur and tried to ask about fights. I tried to take a fight on a week's notice against Igor Sabora when Paul Cheng pulled out. I felt that I really tried to make an effort, and for out of those 2 years, for one time, I put a very small post, just pretty much to just keep fans in the loop, because a lot of people ask me constantly, when are you fighting? When are you fighting? What's next? Sponsors ask me, fans ask me. There's a lot of people that, you know, you feel you're obligated to speak to. So I put that post out. I didn't mention ONE FC or talk bad of them at all. I just pretty much said that I'm always ready to fight. I'm trying to get fights, and something has to change. And then 2 weeks later, I received an email, and I honestly thought I was getting a fight. I thought, great, maybe it's worked. But it was my release saying that Victor had come across my Facebook post and wasn't happy, and he didn't like my comment or frustration about not fighting, and saying has to change comment. And he was instructed, Matt Hume, to release me. So I respect their decision. I don't have any ill feelings towards ONE FC. I feel it's a mutual decision. Even though they released me, I feel it's a mutual decision, because I'd already discussed with my family that if I wasn't fighting in July, I wanted a release. I was going to pressure for a release, and strategically I got what I wanted. Whether they see that they did it or I did it, it makes no difference. Strategically, I got what I wanted. Something had to change, and it did. Either they put me out to fight or you release me. And they chose to release me. I feel that there's maybe, if they can honestly say, hand on heart, and swear on whoever they look up to, that it's because of my Facebook post then I mean, who am I to say? But you've read the post. Everyone's read the post. It can't be because of that. It's either my contract is too high, they're having other issues, there's a personal dislike for me. I really, your guess would be as good as mine. I'm not gonna spend my time wasting and thinking about the negative of why they released me. I'm happy to move forward. I've got a lot of fight offers going forward, and now I'm back in control of my career. So I feel I'm very fortunate to it happen the way it happens. I really, when me and the UFC went our separate ways, I'm the first to admit I was brokenhearted. I was very distraught. It was a dream come true to fight for the UFC, and it was a dream come true to fight for ONE FC. But when I got the email, I didn't feel distraught at all. I laughed. It was actually like a breath of fresh air. I didn't, I didn't beg for my job back or message them why. I just made the phone call. I tried to call them. They didn't return my calls. And I had no more to say. They emailed me back after and said, "Oh, if you want to call now, you can." And I said, "There's nothing to talk about. You've made your decision. That's it. I'm not going to apologize for what I wrote. I'm a man and I stand by what I say. And I still stand by it right now. I'm not that guy. I'm a fighter and I like to fight. And if you don't put me out to fight, I'm going to tell you I want to fight. That's it. You know,
Sitting in now,
what,
James, like you said, you received an email, you thought it was a fight offer. Sitting in now, would you be as happy now if you did actually get a fight? So you basically, do you prefer this release now? So if they said, "Oh, we've got a fight here," sitting in now, would you be like, "Oh yeah, I'm really happy with this fight. I'm glad ONE FC are putting me out there"? Or are you more happy
if
with the release right now?
if they put me out there to fight, I'll be happy to fight. No problem. I love the ONE FC rule set. I enjoy fighting for the company. But what I don't enjoy is not fighting for the company. I don't enjoy being signed for a company and sitting around for 18 months with no fights. That's what I don't enjoy. So when I actually fought for the company, yes, it was fantastic. I can't say a bad word, and I'm not going to talk bad of ONE FC. Some fighters don't like to be as active as me. Some fighters are happy to sit around once a year and say, "Oh, I fight for ONE FC." You know, like there's actors out there that work in restaurants as waiters and claim that they're actors. But I'm not a fighter that's going to sit around and say I'm a fighter when I don't fight. So I'm not going to change my method of thought or how I feel about my statement. I stand by my statement, and I'll still, if I fight for another company and they put me on a year contract or a 6 fight deal or whatever, but don't put me out, I'm going to complain. I want to fight. I signed with you to fight. That's the idea, isn't it?
How would you describe your relationship with ONE Championship during your time there?
Um, Face to face, the relationship was good. Once I felt we wasn't face to face, there was a real dislack in communication. Like you would send an email and you wouldn't get a reply. You'd send a text, you wouldn't get a reply, and eventually, once you nagged enough, or you emailed, Facebook, WhatsApp, called, eventually you would get a message back like the board knows that you want to fight and we'll be in touch. In
As
other
it,
words, like shut up.
as your time at ONE Championship, sorry, obviously it used to be ONE FC, they changed the name to ONE Championship. Uh, as your relationship with them, your time with them, as it sort of took a bit of the passion out of fighting for you? Obviously, because your morale's very important. Obviously, when you're fighting and you're winning, your morale's high, you train hard. Obviously, you're a coach anyway. But obviously, it's a different thing training, improving your skills. When you're happy, you want to learn, you want to, improve for your next fight. Has it been a little difficult for you, morale-wise, in terms of not
I
fighting
mean,
so often for ONE
I mean,
Championship?
it's different. It's different when you know, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fight 3 or 4 times this year, guaranteed. You know. But when you just really don't know, and you're staying in shape, you're just waiting for that email. You can't make any family plans. You can't go on vacation. You can't book anything ahead because you never know when you're gonna get that email, and no one's keeping you in the loop if you're gonna get it or you're not gonna get it. I mean, that takes a lot of toll on your family. I mean, I've got a wife and a daughter, and I have, and I have other fighters that I train and look after that I want to give my time to. And when you can't make any personal life plans, it's very difficult. And when you try to stress that to them, either they don't have the power to change what they do, or they simply don't care. But either way, nothing changes. So, yeah, eventually it does start to beat on your morale because I mean, to fight for a prestige company like ONE FC, it's really an honor when you sign for them. I was really happy to sign, and I was happy to fight. When I actually stayed busy and fought, it was fantastic. But when you're not fighting, it's not great. I'm not happy to sign with any company and not fight. I didn't sign for ONE FC to fight for other companies. I didn't sign for the UFC to sit on the sidelines and watch everyone else fight and earn money. No, I have a goal. I'm not getting no younger, and I want to achieve my goals and move forward in life. I mean, forget finance. It's just about, I've had a lot of fights. It's in my DNA. I've been fighting since I was a child, and this is something that I like to do.
So just to confirm, there's no hard feelings with ONE FC, and there was no disrespect meant with the Facebook post.
No, of course not. If it was a disrespect meant, I wouldn't make it on Facebook. I would have made it personal to them. I mean, I don't make social media personal. I've had numerous fighters call me out and talk disrespectfully on social media. I don't reply. I just go to the people to make the fights happen. Twitter doesn't make fights. Facebook doesn't make fights. Fans don't make fights. Fighters don't make fights. Matchmakers make fights, promoters make fights. So when these guys would call me out and talk crap about me and say they could beat me, and their silly little fans say that I'm no good, I'm useless, and all these things and above, then I go to promoter and I've got every email to back it up and say, this guy is one of your fighters, he's talking mad online, he wants to fight me, let's make the fight happen. And when it doesn't happen, it goes on and goes, it builds frustration. It builds frustration. And then when you see these other guys that they make such a big deal out of, they go and fight bums, and they're not even putting him out there to give him a real test, but yet you're saying that he's the best fighter in the world and he's that and that, but you give him a guy with under 5 fights on his record. What are you really saying to the people? Just give him a real test. Oh no, we can't give him a real test yet. It's like you can't sugarcoat people's fights. If you say they're the best in the world, then you should fight the best in the world. Let's give them real fights. Let's make fights happen. It's just frustrating as a fighter to see, not fights happen. It's as clear as that. I don't know any other person who has a job. Like I said to you earlier, you're in media. You have a passion for media. You have a passion for the sport. You're fully prepared to, and you know how to do your job. You're sharp. You train every day to do this job. You sign one of the best companies in the world to do it, but 7-8 months, you're not doing it.
Okay, James, you just briefly mentioned that you've been in talks with some promotions. Could you go into a little bit more detail on that, please, James?
I can't go into exact details, but there's a couple of large promotions out there that we're in talks to and that we have goals to fight for, and we've got our feet in the door and we've got the ball rolling in the right direction, so that's great, and I'm very excited to really nail those down and work on those. But in the meantime, I've had offers for fights in the last 48 hours since we went public with my release for ONE FC. I've had a fight offer every month. I mean, I could fight June, 2 in July, August, 3 in September, 2 in October, November, and December. So I could stay as busy as I really want right now. So that'd be great for me. Obviously, my real goal is to go to the big organization and discuss them and move forward. But if we can't nail down and get the contract or the figures that we want, then we need to go down on the freelance road and just fight for different shows, one off here, one off there, and get the wins in the belt and go back and renegotiate. They can't keep saying, they're going to give me what I want eventually. As long as you keep winning, they're going to get it. I mean, I've won 10 out of my last 13 fights. Majority all been first round knockouts. If not, they were first round submissions. So my record is in the right direction. It's doing okay. Most of my losses come early in my career when I was still trying to learn the sport from K1 and exchange over. And I feel now I understand the sport. I've given it the time it deserved. For the last 7 years, I've put my heart, soul, and my whole life into the sport of MMA. And I'm ready to go back and make my mark with the bigger brands.
Obviously, you've had a torrid time. Well, I wouldn't say a torrid time, but you've had a little bit of difficulty with one championship and not getting the fights. What do you look for in a promotion? What will you be looking for at these negotiations, James?
Just to make sure that I have a non-activity clause so I can stay regular, make sure that I can fight so many times throughout the year. And with these bigger companies, you don't have these problems. You just don't have it. I've never experienced these kind of issues before. I've never had a company sign me and then not use me. It really doesn't make sense. And then, obviously not allow you to go and fight elsewhere or give you a hard time, because you're wasting people's careers. At the end of the day, I'm 34, and even if I was 24, to sit on the sidelines for 7, 10, 12 months of the year and then go out and fight, the ring rust comes in, you know, you're not the same fighter you was when you were staying active. You're not as sharp as you were before. So ring rust comes in, and I'm not going to allow my career to be wasted like that. I mean, you just saw the UFC last show. I mean, one of those fighters didn't fight for 16 months. He didn't look like the same guy 16 months ago. So it does play a big part in people's careers. No matter how much you spar, no matter how much you stay in shape, ring rust and staying sharp is a big difference. And I'm not going to allow that to happen to me. So I stand by my decision, and I'll make sure when I move forward, wherever I go, I can stay active. And I have a non-activity clause in my contract. So if they don't put me out so many times of the year, then I can break. I'm not a fighter that's just going to sit on the sidelines. I'm not.
A question for the UK fans here, James. I don't think we're going to expect to see you return to the UK anytime soon, but near the end of your career, do you ever see... Oh, you never know. At some point, maybe near the end of your career, or maybe even soon, by the sounds of things, do you ever see yourself returning to the UK? I'm sure the UK fans would love to see James McSweeney at least one more time.
I would love to come back and fight in the UK. Of course, it's always going to be my home. You know, it's where I grew up and where my family are, and I'd love to come back and fight in the UK. I actually have 2 offers to fight in the UK for 2 different promotions right now. One's not a UK-based promotion at all. They're just going to do a one-off show there, and they're a large promotion. Another one is a UK-based promotion. But if I don't, like I said, if I don't get these 2 contracts, let's say the worst case scenario is that we can't nail down the deal that we like for either one, I'm going to go freelance. And yes, the UK will definitely see me this year at some point fighting for sure.
One final question, James. I noticed that you tweeted to Tito Ortiz yesterday or the day before. Could you tell us what that was about?
Me and Tito are friends, and we've been friends for a long time, and we have a separate business offer going on right now, and we've just given him a message. He wasn't answering his messages on his phone, but I realized that he didn't have signal because he was in Mexico on a vacation. So the best way was just to hit him on Twitter and direct message him. So he got back to me, but no, I can't release that information just yet.
Well, James, the mic's yours. Any thanks, sponsors, mentions, anything you'd like to say to your fans, fire away.
I'd just like to say to everyone, as always, I'm really sorry that you haven't seen me much busy this year, but I'm going to make it up to you guys as much as I can and fight as much as I can, and I'll be ready. Thank you all for your support and the kind words, and for you guys and the haters out there that have all said your words too. I appreciate you as well, I guess. But yeah, no, sponsor-wise, always say thank you to Booster and to Grips, and they look after me very well. I'm very fortunate. Unit 27 in Thailand, they look after me great. Tiger Muay Thai, they've been looking after me as well, where I also teach and train. Just thank you to everybody. Thank you so much, and to yourself and your guys. It's an honor to be on the show, and I look forward to coming back and giving you a release of what's next.
Okay, from the MMA Fighting Talk Show, as always, guys, thank you for watching.